Alright, and good morning. It is extremely cold outside. It is 25 degrees. Nope, I take that back. It was 25 degrees when I started my journey. It is currently 20 degrees outside. And I have no idea what the real field temperature is, but we had some really interesting weather things. I don't know what you call it. It's not really precipitation go on last night. I'm passing all these cars and it's just kind of awesome. So we had ice fog. It was it's like 12 degrees, I want to say, last night. Was the last time I looked at the temperature. And we had fog. It was kind of weird. And this morning, on my early morning commute to work, it's truly breathtakingly beautiful. You can't really see. I tried to pick it up in the camera. You really can't see it, but all of the cars have this three-dimensional frost from where ice crystals just kind of formed outward as the fog settled in on the frozen fog settled in on the cars. It's quite spectacular, really. So there is that. I was kind of concerned that the roads would then have picked up that ice formation, but they seem to be pretty good. So we're doing all right. It's just very pretty. Anyway, so this morning I just kind of wanted to give you my crazy thoughts. This is crazy talk about the UFO. You may or may not have been aware there was a UFO that was sighted in California, and I love UFO sightings. I love that. That's my jam right there. That's what got me started into crazy talk years ago when I assaulted the airwaves with my deep, sultry voice. Back in those days, you know, it was. I would start every show with a updated daily report of UFO sightings from all over the country, and people would call into their local police departments, file reports, and then these reports were uploaded to this UFO watch site so that all of this stuff could be documented. And I haven't looked at that report for a while, but I had a friend that called me up and was like, hey, you're into UFOs. Did you see the latest on TMZ? There's an article about an LA UFO. And this woman had snapped off some pictures. And TMZ, apparently, I looked through the article. I didn't read it because I looked at the pictures that the woman had posted and immediately dismissed it. Now, what you have to understand is I live next to a facility, a base that works with experimental aircraft. So it is nothing for me to see weird stuff flying around that 12 years later gets declassified, and you can look it up in, you know, the latest aircraft books at the bookstore. But I was looking at these pictures, and the reason I liked UFO mythology, or whatever you want to call it, is ufology. I don't know. Is I liked debunking this stuff. When I was a kid, I saw 3 white things in the sky, middle of the day, flying absolutely silently through the sky. and have since, as an adult, seen footage and pictures of things and heard of descriptions identical to what I saw as a kid. I still don't know what that was. To me, I saw 3 UFOs flying in formation, if you'd call it flying. I mean, they were almost just hovering, and then they would move, and then they'd hover, and then they'd move. Very, very odd things. But I digress. So TMZ has this article, and this woman was snapping off some shots of this thing that they say was a spaceship. So to me, if you've looked at these pictures, to me what it looks like is the woman was sitting in her car, and I don't know if it was the moon or what, and they may have debunked this theory. I didn't read the article. But it looks like she was driving past some, whatever it was, something in her car was causing a reflection of external light to bounce up onto the windshield, and she took some snapshots of the light reflecting on her dirty windshield. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know if it was synthetic, where she had a light that she was shining onto like a mirror in her car, or some kind of reflective surface, and then shining that onto the windshield. But nothing about what we saw in the in those photographs looked like an actual UFO. Like, I just was not convinced. Very unimpressed, actually. And to read the TMZ, the little bit that I read, I guess they had somebody try to Photoshop it, and they're like, well, we can't reproduce this in a Photoshop, so we've got to say this is authentic. Nope, we don't actually have to say that. We're not seeing a mothership. It was Los Angeles. Maybe it was fancy lights for some kind of movie production. I don't know. But mothership / UFO, not feeling it. Now, there may have been a video that totally addressed my hypothesis, but she took the pictures from inside her car. The pictures that I saw were taken from inside the car. They were still photographs, and just not feeling the UFO vibe at all. I've seen much more convincing photographs. So there's that. That's my take on it. Just whenever you look at evidence of UFOs, say photographs or videos, I always approach those very skeptically, because in my mind it's more entertaining to debunk them and figure out what the reality is. I mean, I want to believe that this woman saw a UFO. I want to believe that we are under some kind of planetary invasion, because how awesome would that be? We got through 2020. So, I mean, aliens coming to take over the world? Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of cool. Why not, right? I mean, at this point, it feels like humanity has kind of lived itself out. I mean, we are at a historical pivot point where things can only, I was a history buff too, got my degree in history. Things can only really go downhill for the United States from where we are politically at this point. And that's not to say that I take one side or the other. I think both of the two major political parties are what is wrong with this country. Like, both of them. So don't think that I'm like supporting one group over another. They're both awful. And it's because of that that we find ourselves where we are. And if you watch world history play out, if you go back and read the rise and fall of civilizations, and you'll hear a lot of people put positive spins, But if you actually read history, which is boring, I get it, a lot of people don't like to read it. If you read history, you will find that we are in a holding pattern that is not very positive for the longevity of our country. So pick up a history book. Start with Romans. Read up on the Germans, European history, and Russia, China, Japan. I mean, you're going to find the same thing over and over and over again. Anyway, that's all I got. Until next time, stay crazy.